Hello and welcome to TFT North American Regional Finals and World Qualifiers. Final day 3, game 6.
I know right now. So Tatsuko, if he gets top 4, that world championship spot is his. Now Malala, on the other hand, can he find a way to make that big gap and perhaps rewrite what's currently being imprinted onto TFT history, as Satsuko would join many worthy people to also represent North America in the North American champion or in the global championships. But the thing about Satsuko that many people say is that he is not only like a great player that can go to the world championship, but he's also a person that almost should be a world champion because of his mystique as a strong ladder player. Since set 4 has held rank 1 longer than any person in time. If you actually just count up the number of days, it's actually months that Setsuko has held rank 1, which is by far and away the most impressive. The only person that can hold up to him is Dish Soap, but Dish Soap started in set 6. So Setsuko's had multiple sets where he's held rank 1 for months longer than anybody else. And it wouldn't be surprised me if by the end of it, Setsuko will have years of holding global rank 1.
Honestly, that's kind of what the narrative that's in my head too is when is he going to stop being a conqueror and start being the king? It's just been so long that we have seen him put up dominant performances over and over again. It just hasn't shined through in tournaments. Now in tournaments, you have a much smaller sample size to work with. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have things not go your way. But I feel like those days are coming to an end at this point. I feel like the performances from Setsuko in this particular set have just been monstrous. And it just feels like the time has come. And I'm curious now at this point, like how long it's going to take for him to actually secure a world championship title. That's really the first question I have about this. But that's got to be the spot secured first. So that's the first thing to look out for. But you're absolutely right on this. Talk about deserved players. It's hard to name another one that's up on the running besides Setsuko. But now I want you to continue the Jukyu rant. I want to know more about what you're telling me here.
Well, the thing about Jukyu is that his preparation is quite meticulous. Between games, you watched his stream, you would see how much thought he puts into a lot of things. He has an entire spreadsheet similar to Dish Soap, right? Mapping out all the lines, but he's willing to play a lot of those obscure things. And I feel like the reason why I dropped the name Ramkev, because in set 4, we just really didn't understand how versatile Ramkev was as a player because we didn't really know much about him. And I just don't want the moment to pass us by because we just recognize that Jukyu has had some pretty fortunate moments, right? Some of his spots were very lucky and high roll, but at the same time, he's done some unconventional things and also played some standard things and also done his own variation and inspired takes. I really am impressed. It is not an accident to average better than the 3.0 over the course of a weekend, and Jukyu has been mightily impressive. That's it.
My gosh. Yeah, that's it. Just all of these incredible things to say about a player in this one spot. That's it. Going to the World Championships. Congratulations, Jukyu. There's really no way to undersell that at this point. There's just other things to focus on. And Malala, this is the player we're talking about in contention for that average placement spot. Now, it does feel like some incredible things have to happen. It's not necessarily the stars aligning, but we're talking, it feels like that it's close, but that he's behind by a lap at this point because there's only one game left to go with from Malala's point of view. In terms of finding that average placement spot. You said it 4 places behind. That's really the thing I feel like you have to stay up to date with as this continues to go along. You talk about more dominant performances throughout the tournament, though. I mean, your next focus has to be on replay at this point.
My focus will get to replay. I want to actually just focus a little bit about what the dynamics of the lobby is. We're almost just completely ignoring the game, just talking about the tournament. I think at this point, one thing you want to analyze is that Jukyu, well, first of all, we have another hero augment. That means 5 out of 6 lobbies today. We start off with 2-1 hero augment. The second is that Jukyu, Malala, and Setsuko all took Annie Burning Spirit, which means there's going to be some people contesting similar lines, and we'll see if that forces anybody to improvise or they're going to stay the course. Specifically, Malala and Setsuko are both playing the line. Same thing with Annie and the Gadget teams early with AP lean. So let's wait and see what happens there. As you take a look also, and you saw that there's Vitality Ox, which is a pretty unusual take. Most people don't like that, but that also is another possible way you can go into Ox for Spellslingers.
Yeah, 2s across the board as we head into a 2-item carousel. And I'm seeing not a ton of slams across the board. A lot of players holding and seeing if they can get something better out of this. And frankly, I feel like that could be the play here because there's a ton of these items that could go way different ways depending on how your composition ends up playing out. We've started to see that Jeweled Gauntlet has really come to the forefront of a lot of players in the slams on this one, which was kind of surprising, I thought, for a while in just this set in general. Jeweled Gauntlet has been such a powerful augment to be able to take. If you slam, Jeweled Lotus has been such a powerful augment to take. If you slam a Jeweled Gauntlet, suddenly Jeweled Lotus is looking a lot worse under those conditions. So I think that being a little bit more conservative with your items and finding the key ones early on can be a big success point of this. For replay, Deathblade into Guardbreaker, this feels like something that he has consistently done throughout the course of the tournament as well. Focus on AD lines, and in particular, Deathblade as a start.
Yeah, just really leaning into AD. Right now, it looks like he's just going to go into the Vertical Duelist, which makes sense. I highly advise against going into AP tree, because 4 people look like they're going straight into it, with the possibility of other people picking up AP champions along the way. On the other side, Kindle Gem, a player that is, again, kind of flying under the radar. He's playing for the LCQ spots just to lock it up. And Kindle Gem does have the Spirit of the Exile laser core start. If he's able to get off to a streak, it'd be good, but it looks like replay won't be denied. And right now, a little bit awkward. No one's at 100 HP. Everyone's just kind of trading blows here. No one pulling away from the lobby except for Ripple Overdrive in the opposite direction.
Yeah, that's always a big thing to keep a focus on too, is that so far in our lobbies, not only have we had these early hero augments, we've also had early win streaks. We've had 2 players on win streaks at times coming into this last one. Ripple Overdrive's looking for the loss streak, trying to take a soft loss in this last round, but nobody has that sort of big finish to this one. And honestly, I have to think that this is very valuable for players who are going to have those mid games where you're kind of towing the line, or you're fighting very aggressively for that. The fact that no one's way far ahead means it's still anyone's game.
All right, well, let's take a look at what Robovan Kenobi is up to with Rising Spellforce Blue Buff. Ezreal does have 2 Renekton 2s, so it's not like he's conserving. Oh, he's actually so close to Renekton 3. It's a good call out. And he might just play Renekton as a 3-star unit to pair with that Vi as a brawler frontline. We'll see. Robovan, again, we just saw, I told you how he loves to fuse ideas of lines. So last game, we saw him go Lulu with Riftwalkers. Very unusual of a take. Was not able to actually get at top finish that he was hoping to secure, but we'll see. Maybe he's that Renekton 3 and jumps out to a strong mid-game lead.
Yeah. I'm talking about Kindle Gem and things up for grabs right now. The big ones are obviously the qualifications you can grab for this one. We have the world slots that are up for grabs, but then there's the LCQ slots as well. That's still another way to find yourself in a set championship. So you still have stuff to fight for just in that regard. A lot of gold coming on the bench. But there's also the prize pool that's up for grabs in this one. So that last little bit of incentive. Players are thinking about the prize pool, but that's in the way back of their minds right now. They're trying to figure out how to make their way to an LCQ spot. And for Kindle Gem, sitting in 4th place right now, this is the front runner to find one of those LCQ spots.
All right, well, Kindle Gem does have Deathblade. It is a little bit awkward if he wants to go into the Laser Core tree, though, because you don't really scale that much off of attack damage. The only unit that primarily wants it is Warwick, unless you're carrying Ashe. In this case, not really doing so. Looking for anything that gives attack speed and health. There's 3 options that do so. On ability cast, admin gains permanent health is the thing that appeals to me the most. I wonder if Kindle Gem instead wants attack speed, though, or is it secret option 3 here and go for the ability power? That'd be quite surprising to me.
Yeah, looks like none of them in the immediate. Let's take the laser for now. Get some more damage in play. So for Kindle Gem, I feel like this is going to have to shore up a bit of this board on 3-2 here. Nothing except for the Vayne is 2-starred. Maybe you're missing some front line. Maybe you don't have to roll that aggressively. Maybe just find some stuff and go with it. Augments are coming up in a round here. This is looking like a big deal.
Yeah, Ripple Overdrive aiming to play Unrelenting Force. He might actually go for Unrelenting Force Quick Draw, which is a build that we saw a patch and a half ago back in the Kaisa dominated period. You basically just played any front line you could get. It didn't have to be Rel. We'll see. Ripple is playing for that big LCQ spot. Taking a look at the augments. First Aid Kit, Knife's Edge, and Ancient Archives takes the tome. And if Juke Yu can hit this Laser Core emblem, that would be massive. Now, he does have 6 traits active, meaning that he's only going to get 1 trait tailored out of 4. but he could put something in here at 6 to improve his odds. He doesn't. He only plays another Renekton 1, so it's... Or this is Kindle Gem, I apologize. So this actually begs the question, when will Kindle Gem rip this tome? And if so, if Kindle Gem doesn't hit the Laser Core, what's his backup plan?
Yeah, that's a really good question here. I mean, the tome, I think, is clearly the best take. I don't think you're finding a better one off of the options you were given there. And the spike on this is massive. But what are your misses? And what do you do with them? And I think that's a really tough question to answer right now. If you don't think you need it right now, don't worry about it. You effectively have Exiles in play thanks to the Yasuo augment here. So just, I'm sorry, you have the extra attack speed because of the Yasuo augment here. So just, fight to kill as much as you can, and then figure it out. Maybe items can dictate a little bit of this, but Robovan hit an Axiom arc to go along with this, and it's just a natural. It feels like it wasn't a natural Renekton 3, but all the gold got spent here. Robovan's playing for massive win streak and to run away with it.
Hold the phone. Axiom Arc changes the equation a lot. Now Robovan has a possible way to assemble Exodia. Might he even feel inspired by Juke Yu using the Coleman tech of hackering in Ezreal to the back line and capitalizing off the quick draw interaction of immediately sniping a melee unit, or at least a unit within melee range, and then double casting? That'd be a really powerful way for Robovan to get back in. Remember, he needs to play for the LQQ spot. He needs to maximize his odds by going first and hope that everyone above him is struggling to get any points.
Gonna look at the augments around as well. I'm really fascinated by Ripple Overdrive taking the underground augment here. This is just straight up playing for first at this point. You're trying to just get an absolute miracle to have happen thanks to this underground, and just have a blowout for the rest of the lobby at that point. And frankly, I don't blame him at this point. You have one game left to go. Go out on a banger. There's no reason to let this one go.
Ipe has Jeweled Lotus, which is really strong. We just got word that Setsuko also has hit Jeweled Lotus after hitting Burning Spirit, which is such a lethal combo. Setsuko is set up in such a good spot. 96 HP and streaking. Is there any hope for Malala? Malala has JG and Shojin Slam. Malala picked Phony Frontline too. Malala looks like he's going to have to settle for a potential LCQ spot, but that's assuming he can even get into the zone where he can contend for that points-wise.
This is a lethal lobby, I'll tell you what. Some of the players are just absolutely just shooting for the stars. So I think a couple of them are probably aimed for the bottom at this point. If every single one of them hits, I mean, I'm just not even going to know what to think of a situation like that. For the rest of them, this is looking like it's going to be a grueling fight. Oh my gosh, Setsuko found a twisted fate as well. I'm very worried for the rest of the lobby at this point. I am not going to lie.
Deepay trying to see if he can use 4 underground. Deepay's story has just been a day of struggle. He went 2nd and then 8th, 7th, 4th, 8th. It's just been terrible outside that very first game for Deepay. Can he use this underground cash out to reverse the tides and potentially match the power level of the rest of the lobby? Going against Setsuko has 3 AM Twisted Fate. It's time to duel indeed. And how many units can Deepay kill before he falls? And it's going to be a good amount of them. My goodness, that is a great loss if I've ever seen. Wow! He actually wins? I'm not sure if Deepay wanted to do that, actually. I think Deepay needed to lose that in order to keep ramping up his stacks while the damage is still low.
Wait a second. I saw 6 underground in there.
Someone has 6 underground.
I saw 6 underground somewhere.
Okay. Well, we'll come across that if we end up seeing it, but I only see 4 in front of me, Nathan. Do you see 6 underground right now?
Right here, I don't see 6 underground.
Yep. How many Ezreals do you see? Do you see 2?
Yeah, I see 1 Ezreal. I mean, I see 2-star Ezreal, but...
All right, well, great. Looks like everything is working as intended. Yeah. You know what's not working? The lose streak for Deepay is... He was at an awkward 8 out of 10. But you know what? You can make up for it by winning twice in a row. He's going up against Robovan, who has the other 2-star Ezreal. That Axiom Arc is going to come up huge. And this Renekton, by the way, is also unkillable. So Deepay goes right back to potentially losing right after we just got to a spot where he snapped his lose streak, which is disaster zone for Deepay.
Yeah, that is a tremendous loss of gold in that instance. And you're right. I think a back-to-back win there would have been a bit of saving grace. So just once again, it's kind of how you spelled it out too. It's just been a day of struggle for DP. It felt like none of his circumstances have really worked out in his favor. It's all just been kind of coasting by and seeing what can happen.
Continue that heist. Continue that heist. Speaking of which, by the way, Nathan, your eyes are not fooling you. Ripple Overdrive has 6 underground currently in. He's at level 7, 12 gold. And I need to see what is going on with Ripple Overdrive. If he has 6 underground, I have yet to see 6 underground be successful in a North American tournament, but nothing like today. Let's see if Ripple can get that cash out, that huge cash out. But that also means that these players in the lose streak position have a good amount of opportunity to push all the way back to the top. So no one should feel safe in their spot currently, especially not a player that's caught in the middle like Malala. If anything, this looks like unless Malala hits, which he does, that's a twist of fate too.
That is massive for right now. Has a Nico also to back this up. Is getting a great front line put together here. That's 4 Ox Force that gets found. This is a great front line. These are great items and a ton to work with in this spot. My gosh. I feel like Malala is going to have a great time for the next couple of rounds.
Up against DP, who's a free win essentially to anybody that has a reasonably strong board, still playing 4 underground with Kale 1 and Sona 1 in the bag. Here comes the duel. Frontline is gone, and so Malala gets a really easy victory. DP takes a massive loss. Kind of going back to what we were saying before, which is how DP wanted to line up the cash out. He is 6 out of 10 though, so I guess he can still make that work. In the meantime, Robovan also working and getting a big win. He's now streaking. Ripple Overdrive. Did he cash out? We're at a prismatic.
Yeah! I knew it. I don't know how I knew it, but I knew that someone was waiting to pull this lever for game 6.
I feel like Malala might have to do something pretty risky here. Either has to pick Cursed Crown or reroll, and I feel like like going for Cursed Crown is a little bit too intense. He goes for Celestial Blessing 3. Celestial Blessing 3 is okay, it's solid. I'm thinking about situations that Malala has to play for to outplay Setsuko. That's what I'm thinking about. This feels a very safe pick to me. That does not seem like a pick that's going to try to go to outplay Setsuko. Malala says, maybe I'm just going to try to go for my LCQ spot.
Wow, Setsuko is think fast, by the way.
Okay, thought pretty fast. He 2-starred his entire board. He didn't get the Nico in, but Setsuko is going for the secure placement. Actually, the more I think about it, the more this is a really important moment. He hit Twist of Fate 2. He has Nico 2 on the bench. He has Viego 2. Setsuko is trying to lock in his spot, because remember, if he goes top 4, then he is guaranteed to the global championship. The APM beast from the east has arrived, and I think Setsuko has locked in his chances as much as he can. He is the overwhelming favorite right now to take that final spot for the global championship.
It's not even looking like it's close at this point. At this point, it would have to be like a disaster. Ripple Overdrive.
Oh my god!
This is just a treasure trove in front of him. He just leveled to 8 and has 100 gold.
He's 100 gold. He still needs to transition his board. How much time do he have? 15 seconds. Finds Aurelion Soul 2. Samira 2 is good. So now we have some damage. Now we want to make sure to secure our front line, because it's just a pair of Vi 2s. Ripple has 5 seconds left with 70 gold. There's no way he rolls in time. Get something in.
Yeah, noticed it right at the end. Tried to glance at just what was going to be the strongest board on here, but oh my goodness.
The hook potential? Does not go for it. Instead goes for Death Defiance. The cash out battle. DP versus Overdrive. Underground Bandits versus each other. Who is able to survive and play for that LCQ spot?
This is a ton of damage that came through. A ton of CC that came through. Ripple Overdrive is not doing a great job of clearing out this board. Damn, that's a heavy hit that Ripple Overdrive is taking right now.
4 unit lost, and Ripple barely survives on his last HP. Can Ripple find a way to do it? Maximum gold cash out is a double-edged sword. Yes, you can roll, but you don't have the items to power up your board. I think Ripple might have to take his last final 8th placements. A player who has gone 8th place only twice, all set long across all tournaments, has now uncharacteristically tripled that over the course of this regionals weekend if he goes 8th place here.
Gosh, there's still a ton of resources for Ripple left to work with, but they have to get this done quick. We're looking at a timer of 1 round to make something happen here, and you cannot lose another round. If you lose another round, that's it. So turbo up to 9 now. You're way ahead in terms of levels at this point, but you now have to get way ahead in terms of units. That's the thing that's really missing here, is how to piece that together. You know, this looks like a ton of stuff in play, but this is multiple Vi's in play thanks to a Woodland Charm. This is, you know, a bunch of Brawlers in play at this point. You need more powerful stuff than that. And now at this point, because you've leveled, you are a bit short on resources. So you have to make the most of this. Ton getting sold here. Teleport coming in. Ooh, just barely gets it in at the end. So what can you make of this?
I don't think his board's that strong right now. It's all on Aesol. Does end up hitting a death cap, so he's going to hope that Aurelion Soul can delete the back line. Jukyu does have 1-star carries. Actually, a low-key miracle that Jukyu is streaking with this board. Everything is 1-star. So it just has to be some good matchmaking for Jukyu, but his items are pretty good, and he has Lucky Glove, so he's hitting some pretty strong combinations onto his units. Jukyu more than happy to trade his HP as he's ready to go to level 8, so an easy win there. GP takes a loss. Malala takes another loss.
Oh my.
It's almost a certainty that Setsuko will be grabbing the 3rd and final spot for the Monsters Attack Global Championship in just a couple of weeks.
This is just not at all what Malala needed to happen. First of all, Setsuko's in the first place spot for HP. That's the worst thing Malala could have seen. And then on top of that, you're on the chopping block for getting knocked out in the bottom 4. You needed none of these circumstances to happen to find it there, but you can still battle for an LCQ spot, and that's exactly what Malala's going to have to do. Get as many placements as you can and try to pad your score as much as you can.
Aaron's still at 1-star, getting the Shroud on the right side of the board, which is not particularly impactful. Here comes the first set of meteors, and it does land onto units like that Twisted Fate. The faster we can pick it off with the Aurelion Soul, the better. Mecha Justice able to continue to chain stun. Malala does not look very strong. Can't deal with the Garen. Only a 2-item Malala. And he doesn't even have any shred outside of that Ionic Spark. So if it falls, he's running out of ways to deal with the front line. And Malala might take a critical loss here. As he takes yet another L. Is Malala not only going to not be able to challenge Setsuko, but will he take an 8th place?
This could be a disaster. Malala's lacking scaling. Malala's lacking items. Malala is lacking a prismatic augment that's boosting you ahead of everybody else. Everything felt like it was going okay, and then suddenly everything felt like it was going wrong. You look over at Jukyu's side, you mentioned that it looked like it was pretty crazy that Jukyu was on a win streak here, and frankly, I don't really disagree with you on that. This is a 1-star backline. This is a Spellslinger Ox Force Aatrox 1-star as holding down some of your front line. Like, what is going on with this board? This is looking wacky.
I mean, it just looks like a really highly contested Ox Force Spellslinger lobby here at this point. Most people have committed to this. We're seeing big rolldowns come from everybody. Kindle Gem took not 1, not 2, but 3 Tome of Traits. Just need to find a stabilization point if he can get that 6 Laser Core online. Looks like he picked Duelist Emblem, Admin Emblem, and the Laser Core. Let's see if that's enough, because we did see that on-cast admin attack speed might pay off huge dividends for Kindle Gem. Now we're taking a look at the matchup. Kindle Gem is going up against Jukyu, who did roll down. Will his Identity Crisis Aatrox be able to hold off against the Identity Crisis Belveth? It's a battle between the threats wearing multiple hats. Who's going to be able to get the edge? Can Jukyu get the crucial victory here?
It's a bunch of big 2-stars for Jukyu, but a bunch of big 2-stars, frankly, across the board. This Belveth is just got one of the weirdest outlooks I've ever seen in my life. Jukyu walks away with a critical win in that one. Malala now hanging on for dear life, but it's not going to be enough. Robovan Kenobi with just a wacky looking Renekton, whatever that board is happening over on that side, knocks out Malala in 8th place. The worst outcome that could have happened to Malala in this game.
And with that, please join me in congratulating Setsuko, the 5-2 Polish powerhouse, the beast from the east, will be joining us for the Monsters Attack Global Championships. A spot that has been long overdue, but a deserved earned spot indeed. Setsuko has done it and outplaced Malala, his biggest rival, for the strongest AVP over the course of this weekend. And a job well done, taking his victory lap. Maybe, just maybe, Setsuko can even go first. And perhaps if replay takes a bad enough loss, maybe he can find his way into the top 2 of the standings.
It's just been I mean, long overdue even sounds like an understatement to me, to be quite honest with you. Caleb Jim going down to 1 HP here. Setsuko has just been one of the most dominant players in the North American region for about as long as I can remember. Just how has it taken this long? That's really the big question that has been in the head for me. Ripple Overdrive going to go out in 7th place. Been a great tournament performance from him so far. This top 8 has been absolutely brutal. Just what a tournament from Setsuko. This is the kind of dominant performance, honestly, that you almost expect to see in tournament situations like this. But that's not all that's in this one. We have our World Championship places, I'm pretty sure, secured at this point. I'm going to check with admins and make sure that that's the case that's coming into it. We still have LCQ spots up for grabs. We still have prize pool up for grabs. We still have a lobby yet here to finish on this one. Setsuko sitting in a nice life total at number 1. Kindle Gem on the chopping block for the next one. Replay, though, still battling for a strong performance here.
Replay trying to go for potentially the tournament win if he can outplace Jukyu by +2. I believe he does have that tiebreaker due to the number of first places. Seeing if this duelist can be good enough. Gets a pretty good win. Kindle Gem going out here in 6th. Puts him in jeopardy, and all of a sudden, the doors have potentially opened a little bit, but I think that's 6th place because Ripple and Malala were the only 2 people behind Kindle Gem. That should be good to put Kindle Gem as the most likely player to make LCQ. Who could potentially join him? A job well done, Paisanos, for a good weekend. Let's see who else can play for that spot.
A lot of key items on this carousel right now. These are the carousels I always love to see in Stage 5, too. Just a bunch of utility items there for grabs. Just continues to open up doors for players and opportunities, closing up spots where they have weaknesses. We're getting a glimpse over at Deepay's board. For Deepay, like you said, it's felt like a struggle this whole day so far. None of his opportunities have felt like they've been coming to fruition in spots where he needs them to come to fruition in this one. He's finally finding himself in a spot with this one. I'd have to say that he needs to walk away with a 1st place finish in this one to be finding himself an LCQ spot. But let me tell you what, Deepay's board does not look like it's weak by any means.
That's not true, actually. Deepay just has to outplace Malala and Ripple Overdrive, which, by the way, he is doing. And he just needs to actually not go out in 5th here. He needs to try to crack into the top 3. The only caveat is Robovan Kenobi is tied with him in points. So it might come down to who between this fight between Robovan Kenobi and Deepay are able to get the points advantage. Deepay's backline is white, but he still has the misfortune. Here comes the bullet time. No, it's Garrett versus Ezreal. Who gets the win? That's a massive victory for Deepay. Robovan takes a loss. Can Roby find a way to fight for LCQ? These players tied at 60 points apiece, charging for that final spot that was opened by Malala and Ripple Drive.
I've never seen a more flavorful Death's Defiance take place in a tournament right now. It's working for Garrett and it's working for Deepay.
You can look real quickly at how the rest of it. It's only fitting that Jukyu, Replay, and Setsuko, the top 3 performers, are still in there. And that is the separation. Can Deepay go beyond? And with the underground cash, it might be too much. He's matched up against Jukyu, eating a big shroud. But look at that Zephyr. Can he land on the Twisted Fate? It does! The 50-50 favors Deepay. Can he continue to get this momentum and seize it for a commanding top 4? This would be devastating damage over to Setsuko.
Waiting for this Urgot cast, see how much of an impact it has. This Garrett is still hanging on. It took so much damage for that to happen, but the damage pouring in from TF at this point. The fiddle with that bit of CC as well. Deepay taking a hit here, not out of it though. Big deal as we head into creeps at this point. Dan, Deepay is going to need a little bit of help on this one. How does he improve this board?
From Setsuko's perspective, it's really about just going to 9. The fact that he has Burning Spirit and Druid Lotus settles so much of his damage, and he has a really solid setup with both his Nico and Twisted Fate, making sure to use Gunblade to also heal up his front line, which is the weak point of his composition currently. For Deepay, though, I'm pretty sure that was a positioning difference. That Shroud not only hit his backline units that were pretty key, like his Misfortune, but also he wasn't on the same side as that Twisted Fate. So even though he got the Zephyr, it wasn't that big of a deal.
I cannot. Ornn items to boot. That's coming into this one. Setsuko going to find himself on 9, hunting down the Nunu.
Wow.
That was like the hit that you're looking for, is a big legendary at the end. You know, maybe Nunu's not going to be your pick, but my gosh, it's still a ton that you're getting in front of this right now. Any 2-star legendary at this point, you're like, oh, yeah, I'll take that. Sign me up. For DP, though, now cracking that anvil and taking a look. Gonna look at positioning, gonna look at how to pan this out, and how do you make the most of it right now. DP needs a miracle couple of rounds here in order to find himself in the right spot.
About what item that he really wants to pick here. He does get his Zephyr onto the backline. Sony's going up against Setsuko again. What happened? We just went through this. Mecha Justice on both sides here, trying to see if he can lock down that AoE. Here comes the meteors. The backline is completely untouched. Bullet time about to cast. Misfortune didn't even get the cast off. DP, no! Just like that, a chance for an LCQ appearance has been ripped out of his hands as Robovan Kenobi able to secure that top 4, and now Roby should be the one joining us. If he's able to outplace Ripple, if he's able to outplace Malala as well as DP, that means Robovan Kenobi will be the one fighting for his last hope in the LCQ next week. We'll confirm in a little bit, but Robovan, if he gets a top 3, I think that seals the deal.
We have one final thing to play for, Dan, and it's a heaping pile of money that's up for grabs for these one. Who do you have your eye on in this fight?
I'm going to take a look at whether or not Robovan Kenobi can get it done here, but also look at Setsuko if he can finish off replay, because if he does, there's an opportunity for Setsuko to go big and potentially fight for additional placements. As Setsuko is working onto that front line. Nunu is down, but now it's going to be the back line, and Annie is still alive, and that is a win for Setsuko, and he is charging to end the tournament the way he entered it at rank 1 of the top of the standings. Robovan top 3, that settles it. So we have our LCQ and we have our World Championship spot, and now we're looking at the final opportunity for Setsuko and Jukyu to put the cherry on top. Another thing to mention, with replay being eliminated from the tournament, Jukyu has also secured the North American Monsters Attack Regional Finals Championship. Another set, another dark horse rising up and showing up when it matters most to claim a spot in that global championship.
Just a killer performance the entire tournament. It's tough to pick one more dessert, but there's still something to play for here. I'm still looking at Robovan Kenobi's board on the left side here with this Ezreal 3-star and a Renekton 3-star that's been holding up this front line the entire game. Nunu's touching this backline by quite a bit, though, and a number of CC spots coming in to slow down some of this damage. The Renekton's still alive. The Ezreal's still alive, though. Setsuko's got the TF blasted off with some cards there, though. Robovan taking a big hit. Wow. It's such a monster lead, it feels like, between first, second, and third place right now. 30 HP, 29 HP, 3 HP.
It's a victory lap here for everybody involved. Robovan happy to make LCQ from this spot if he's able to get that point lead over DP, Malala, Ripple. You see that Setsuko elated to finally make a global championship. And Jukyu, the lowest that Jukyu has placed all day was third place, and he might be able to get that elusive first place that's evaded him all day. Third, second. Can Jukyu end on a dub to put that cherry on top?
Spot's looking not too bad. I don't think that Jukyu was able to secure the item you wanted. You notice that Setsuko was kind of running around the carousel, letting Jukyu try to go for what he wanted to, and then took it out of his hands. Honestly, talk about Jukyu. That was Setsuko there.
Setsuko going up against the Ghost. Jukyu trying to close out against Robovan Kenobi. Just wants that first place and securing it. Jukyu's championship title has been earned, and a deserving person who averages better than a 3.0 in this kind of competitive field. It's so difficult of a regional finals. Even some of the fan favorites, you're talking about K3 Soju, you're talking about Prestivan, you're talking about Ramblin'. So many strong players did not make it to the field, and it wasn't Setsuko winning, although he did get that spot. It was an underdog like Jukyu to prove all the doubters wrong, playing 14 different compositions out of 18 possible games. That is incredible.
Coming into this tournament, I asked players a lot of questions. Get some reads from them on these metas and what they were doing. When I asked Jukyu about his preparation, he simply said, climbing the high challenger on Smurf, getting a good read on the meta, limit testing different lines. and it's easily showing through.
Yeah, and what could be the last fight of this game, the last fight of this tournament, the last fight to seal the deal. Duke Yu trying to see if he can close it out with 30 HP, trying to work on each other's front lines. If you can take down the Annie pretty quickly, she's not going to be able to get this repetitive shields going on. Twist of Fate, time the duel, but TF in the backline is also getting zapped, and I think Duke Yu has potentially done it. It's so close. The last few cards, he has done it, punctuating in a fan.